almost responded when you asked a question and Alex said it's on the outline. I wanted to be like, come on, Luke. Look at the homework, for God's sakes.
Literally, when I sent that text, I turned to Holman and I said, I just sent Luke the podcast equivalent of it's in the syllabus.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's Baseball at the Corner. This is the Michigan in Trouble podcast with your hosts, Alex S. Freeman and Luke Jaconis.
Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. The season preview continues this week. We've got Luke, as always, and as is now tradition, as this is the second year in a row, our resident A's fan, Tom, here to pick division winners, predict the Central. As an Oakland Athletics fan, I'm sure you're well-versed in the American League Central, Tom. Well, as a friend of Luke and I's, you're well-versed in the American League Central. Welcome to.
And I do live in the region as well,
that's
so
true. That's fair.
A little bit.
Yeah, you're stuck around it.
You don't live in Oakland? I know it may look like it, but no, I do not.
Oh, God. I've been mistaken all these years.
You thought when you lived with him that
yeah, even the year Oakland. We lived together, Luke thought I lived in Oakland.
I thought we lived in Oakland for that year. Oh,
that's why you didn't get any mail that year, Luke, because you kept giving people in Oakland.
No wonder. That's right. I guess I didn't pay my taxes that year. Now that I come to think of it, but what are you going to do? Just kidding. If the IRS is out there listening, I pay my taxes.
They do. We do have a high listenership in the Internal Revenue Service.
Yes. Let's do an IRS podcast. I bet that would be a real treat for everybody.
It'd be at least as exciting as when I decided we were going to do a labor law podcast. So
the listens were through the roof on that episode.
It's a real niche topic there.
Yeah.
The one people really go deep back. They go back in the archives. It's
in our defense, that's when we were in the heat of COVID and we didn't know if we were going to have a baseball season or not. So we were really scraping the bottom of the barrel for content.
It's true. And I am anticipating another labor law episode in this coming off season, just because we're given
what's coming down the pipe here. Yeah. It's not looking great, but hey, that's next year. Let's focus on this.
Yeah, that's December. We don't have to worry about that now. Right now we have opening day is upon us this week as this episode drops on Monday. Once again, we're going to focus on our picks for the season. There has been some Tigers news this past week. As we are recording this early, we're not going to talk about it. And there are other podcasts that have done a great job of covering it, other writers that have done a great job of covering it. Luke, do you want to talk about your boy Matthew Boyd?
Yes, two quick tidbits of Tigers-related news before we get into all the picks and predictions. Matthew Boyd, my guy. Really, he's our guy, but I think I'm a pretty big Matthew Boyd fan. Let's just hope this year he can eliminate those home runs and get some more strikeouts. Let's watch those walks, Matthew. But he's going to be the opening day starter, so that's going to be fantastic. Hell of a guy on and off the field. And as you and I were texting this morning, Alex, obviously, again, we're recording on a Wednesday, not on our usual Sunday. You had said that had Spencer Trumbull not been put on the IL due to COVID protocol, probably would have been his opening day start. And I tend to agree with you there. But regardless, I think we're going to be set with Matthew Boyd. Cool for him, his second opening day start in the last two seasons. But kind of funny, it's his second opening day start within the last calendar year, not even a year, like in the last 9 months, because he opened at the end of July and now he will open at the beginning of April. So he's really getting some experience. But that's great. Matthew Boyd's the man. We love him. Hopefully he has a killer year. And then the other big news, pitching related, Julio Teheran and Tarek Skubal both made the club out of camp. So pretty interesting stuff there. Obviously, both on two different kind of tracks of where their careers are at. Tarek obviously being the young stud coming out of AAA and had some experience last year. Did okay in his major league appearances. And then Julio Teheran kind of in the second half of his career trying to reinvent himself, so to speak. So both had good springs, both deserved it, both going to be in the rotation along with Matthew Boyd. You're probably looking at Boyd, Tarek, Teheran, Urania, and then probably until Spencer comes back, maybe Michael Fulmer. He's going to probably be the fifth guy. I don't think Casey makes the club out of camp. which is okay. Let him go down to AAA, get some more experience and innings under his belt, and he'll be back here in the not too distant future. So that's the only Tigers news I have. Anyone have anything else to chime in? No chime in. Great. Okay, so let's just keep going.
Let's do it.
No, yeah, that's going to be good. So good stuff. Alex, I'll pass the ball back to you.
Yeah, we're going to dive into our predictions and picks episode. We still owe Tom dinner from last season's pick.
Yeah. I'm here to double up.
I would say, let's do it. Shall we do a dinner again? I like dinner.
I thought we could do, we could sell our soul to the other person. The last two losers have to sell their soul to the winner.
I don't know that I have quite that level of confidence in my picks.
I do. You guys are mine. It's going to be, we can do dinner.
That works. We're going to owe Tom 2 dinners by the end of this year. As we go, what we are picking for our listeners at home, please pick along with us. Let us know who you pick, why we're idiots, because we're sure we are. But make sure you tell us why you think we're idiots. We want to make sure that the reasons we're idiots are why you think so. But what we were picking,
we're going to pick yourself, guys. I'm not an idiot. You guys see my ACT scores? You want to see them? I keep them always in my wall. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry.
Side note, I watched the documentary about Rick Singer, the guy who masterminded the Operation Varsity Blues, where all the rich people paid him to.
That was like the Lori Loughlin thing, right?
Yeah, fake their children in. Incredible documentary. It's on Netflix. I don't quite remember what it's called, but it's great. Check it out. It's probably at the top of your Netflix queue right now.
Here's a hot take. I think Varsity Blues is kind of an overrated sports movie. I think it's just very kind of whatever. I think in the echelon of sports movies, it's probably like middle to bottom for me. Followed in a close second by Space Jam. That movie is overrated.
That's a hot take that we will. Yeah. That's an off-season episode entirely. That's
not a bad movie, just kind of overrated. Top 5, top 10, get out of here.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But Rebound with Martin Lawrence. Now we're talking.
Luke, don't make me kick you out of the show.
This is starting to feel eerily similar to another podcast that Tom and I do together, but we can't cross brand here. So Alex, please continue.
What we're going to pick, you're going to hear us pick today, the finishing order for the American League Central, the division winners for each division, it's shocking, playoff teams. So obviously add the wild card. And as I note for these guys in the scoring, if your division winner makes it as a wild card team, you would get points for them as a playoff team, but you obviously would not get the division winner points. We're going to pick a World Series matchup. We're going to pick a World Series winner. And we're also going to go rapid fire over under for each team's season win total. And the highest score at the end of the year wins. I won't bore our listeners with the intricate math that goes into the scores and the points, but we are going to start with the American League Central, where you get 3 points for every position that you get correct. Start from number 5. Who is finishing 5th in the division, Luke?
Well, this is just a bit rude that I have to start the show after coming off such a comedic high in the first 10 minutes, and now we have to get so somber because my last pick is actually going to be the Detroit Tigers. Here's the deal. I think I'm getting more mature, a little bit more wiser. Again, I have a pretty solid ACT scores, and I can totally prove them if you guys want to see them after the show. They weren't very good at all. But anyways, the Tigers, I think, are going to be overall much better team this year. I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. My heart always says that they will win the World Series, but my brain is finally catching up and fighting against my heart and saying, stop, you fool, stop. So I think the Tigers will be at the bottom this year. I don't think it's going to be anything close to a repeat of 2018 or 2019. I know they were a little bit better last year, but I mean, with a 60-game sampling, it's really hard to kind of see how that would have leveled out had it gone a full 162. But despite that, even the 2020 season last year, I do think they'll be better. I have them in the market, and I think I said this before. I could see them being somewhere in the 71 to 73 range in terms of games won. I think AJ Hinch and the new coaching staff are going to be phenomenal. I love everything that they're doing. We've talked about Hinch, how we all have his back and we like him. Chris Fetter, we think he's going to be great. I just like the new additions they've brought in on offense, even some of the pitchers. We're going to get to see some of our young guys continue to grow and develop. We're going to get to watch Miggy chase some career milestones. It's just, I really like the blend of rookies and veterans that this team currently has. Do I think it's going to merge into a beautiful World Series championship? Probably not. But I think they are going to be a much more exciting team to watch this year. I think they're going to be an overall more competitive team to watch this year. And finally, overall, I just think they're going to be a better team. So, yeah, I got them finishing last. I know it's not great, not a great start when one half of the Tigers host says that the team will finish last if they cover, but it's where we're at. And I'm trying to be honest, and also I'm trying to win a dinner this year. I mean, I'm here to win. I'm here to win the triple dipper from Chili's. So that's my main goal.
He's not here to make friends. He's here to triple dip.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, who do you have finishing fifth?
I'm glad Luke went first here because I was afraid to say the Tigers immediately.
Yeah.
Right
away.
Welcome
to our guest.
Yeah.
Goodbye to our guest.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've got the Tigers finishing last, not by much. I mean, it's going to be them and the Royals at the bottom for me. I could easily see either team finishing last. I just and to echo what Luke said, I think the Tigers will be better as a baseball team than what they've put on the field the last couple of years. Even if the record doesn't necessarily show it at the end of the year, you guys are headed in the right direction for sure. We'll see how it plays out, and if the bats can hit, as well as they kind of did last year, and then if the young pitching really shows up towards the end of the year, like you hope it does, we'll see. But and AJ Hinch will be better for the team overall, I think, in the long run. But they're just not as good as the other teams in the division, I don't think. So I've got them finishing fifth.
I am the only true believer, and I don't have the Tigers finishing last. However, I do have the Royals finishing last, and my notes are that I think that the Tigers and Royals will spend this season in a battle to prove who's going to be relevant sooner. I think a lot of scouts would tell you that the Royals are in a slightly better position to do it, but I think that the win now mentality is more alive in the Tigers organization at this moment than it is in the Royals. Not that the Royals aren't attempting to rebuild, but I think that they're still in a 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now. And while the Tigers are also on that same trajectory, there's a lot more talk of we can fight now, we can win now within the Tigers, which is why I think that they'll end up edging out the Royals, and that I have the Tigers in fourth place in the division and the Royals in fifth. Am I safe to assume that both of you have the Royals in fourth place?
Correct. Yes.
Would either of you like to add anything about the Royals?
No, just that their fan base, I think, is, you said they're in that 2 to 3, 4 year cycle. Their fan base is just a little more accepting of that cycle than the Tigers fan base is, I think, because the Tigers are, have had, obviously the Royals won the World Series a few years ago, but and went to the AL championship game the year before that, or championship series the year before that. But other than that, they've just been terrible for like 20 years. So whereas the Tigers have had a little more sustained excellence over the years. So fan base in Detroit is a little more impatient than the Royals fan base is, I think.
You also have to look at, too, in terms of, it's a great point, fan bases in the city. Kansas City, although, the Royals were relevant a few years ago. At least they've seen a title in the last couple of years with baseball. But they got the Chiefs, man. They love those Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, god dang, they are one hell of a football team. Whereas Detroit sports, it's like nothing.
We have but then there's hang on.
The basketball, then the football, and then and then they got Little Caesars pizza. That's not too bad.
We got Little Caesars. We got Jets. We got Domino's.
Dude, Jets is my jam.
We got pizza cornered.
I will say this real quick, kind of bringing it back to baseball talk, although the pizza talk, that's in the next segment, so stick around for that, folks. I talked about this in last week's show, and I'm standing by it. I think the Royals are going to be so good on offense this year. I think they are going to be a sneaky hot team with the lineup that they have assembled. With Santana, with Carlos Santana, Andrew Benintendi, Sal Perez. You've still got, I always forget the one guy's name, Ryan Dozier, Ryan O'Hearn at first base. I mean, this team, they can just hit. Whit Merrifield, obviously, is a Tiger killer. Alberto Mondesi. What I'm concerned or questioning with the Royals is still the pitching. I think the offense is definitely going to come out and rake. I think the pitching is still a huge question mark for me.
Especially the depth of that pitching.
I actually think I feel more confident in Tigers pitching, but I feel more confident in the Royals offense, I would say. So I think the Royals offense is going to be sneaky good, just for the record. I know I said that on last week's episode, but I'm sticking by it. So even though I think they're going to be much better on offense, they're looking at a fourth place finish, I think. But Alex, you brought up a great point too. It's going to be an interesting storyline to see who's kind of competing for more relevancy in terms of who will be more of a contender in the immediate future, which that's kind of a fun way to look at it. So.
Yeah. And then I think also, the other story in the American League Central is this kind of the top three teams in the division and how they're going to finish. Because I think there's interesting storylines happening with all of them. I'm going to come over to Tom to make his third place finish pick first. Who do you have third in the division?
I have the Indians. I always think one of these years they're going to fall off the cliff and stop being good, in that they're not great, but they're just good enough to be annoying category. And I still don't think they're going to fall off that cliff this year. I still think they're going to be their pitching is going to be good. They hit barely, but somehow just enough at the same time to win games. So, and I think that's just going to be more of the same this year. It's what they do.
Luke?
Yeah, I think when I think of Cleveland, they kind of remind me of the Cubs in a lot of ways. Both, 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, hell, they're playing each other in the World Series, both those teams in 2016. But I think both of those teams, I kind of group them together for what Tom said. At any moment, I feel like the ship is going to sink, so to speak. But I also won't be surprised if they're that pesky little team that somehow finds a way to win 86 or 87 games and sneaks into a wild card spot. I mean, honestly, it's a flip of the coin. So I have I have the Cleveland Indians also finishing third. And for everything I said and Tom just said as well, I think they still have good pitching. I think the lineup is okay. I feel like every offseason they start subtracting just a little bit. So that's why I think in my mind, I'm always like, okay, this is the year they finally kind of crumble from within. But they proved me wrong every year, time and time again. And I said it on last week's episode. I'm saying it again. If the Tigers want to have any chance of being relevant, not only do you got to beat teams within your division, they got to beat Cleveland, because Cleveland has kicked our ass, it seems, for the last 5-6 seasons. So they have got to figure a way to turn it around against Cleveland. But as it stands now, I'm going to go Cleveland finishing third.
Here I am again. The cheese stands alone. I have so little faith in the La Russa experiment in Chicago that I think the Chicago White Sox will finish third in this division. I almost put them at fourth and fifth as I was making this. But I do think that the roster itself is too talented to lose that many games. And I think that, and as I've said before, I think that they will be behind the Detroit Tigers at the All-Star break. But I think that they will figure it out enough towards the end of the year. And also, as you think about teams like Detroit potentially making decisions of, we're not contending this year, how do we get guys up and experienced to contend in the next season, that I think that Chicago will be able to kind of climb into that third spot. And that's where I have them finishing. And similarly, like with Cleveland, I agree with you guys on a lot of those points about Cleveland that I do, like, especially the subtract a little bit at a time kind of thought. And I do think that they got a little bit worse in this offseason, but I don't think they're necessarily as much worse as some people have discussed them as. And I think this White Sox situation is going to be an absolute mess, at least in the first half of the season. And it's going to be really hard to overcome that with how talented many of the teams in the division are.
So do you think, Alex, the White Sox will end the year under 500?
Yes, I do.
That might be your most bold prediction you've made thus far.
Do you think there's any chance, if things go really wrong, that they get rid of La Russa in the middle of the season?
I don't, because I think this is Jerry Reinsdorf's way of making good from whatever happened in the 80s. He's for some reason, Chicago sports just are stuck in the 80s. You got the Bears who think it's 85 every season, and Jerry Reinsdorf is trying to make good on a deal that went wrong in the 80s with his buddy. I don't get it. I don't get it. I've been saying it all along. I can't wait to watch the inevitable blow-up between Tony La Russa and Yoan Moncada or Tim Anderson or Eloy Jimenez, whoever it is. It's going to be great drama to watch from the sides. I do think overall they are still going to be a hell of a team, though. I think they will be able to get past any petty drama and rise to the occasion, and I'll get to that in a bit. But to answer your question, Tom, no, I don't. Even if they absolutely suck, I don't think La Russa gets canned throughout the season because I think Reinsdorf, this is his way, for whatever reason, to make up to his buddy.
Yeah, it's like an old boys club move, kind of.
Yep.
And I agree with you. I don't think he will get fired either, even if they're performing horribly before the All-Star break. But I think it should absolutely be on the table if they were smart. But,
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that it's one of those things that I think that they'll just take it on the chin and like give him his last little send off that to make good. Yeah, and it'll be a disaster and it'll be great. I'm gonna finish this out with Cleveland is obviously number 2, and then I have the Twins winning the division. I just can't envision that the Twins are going to be any worse than they have been, and so. They'll continue to win this division. Probably their last year winning the division in this cycle, and I think that we'll start to see teams like the White Sox and the Tigers and the Royals start to ascend up into those top spots for the next few seasons following. So, Luke, I'm going to give it over to you to finish out your 1 and 2.
So I have the Minnesota Twins finishing second and the Chicago White Sox winning the division this year. Starting with the Twins, they're a good baseball team. They're just a solid baseball team through and through. They pitch, they hit, they play good defense. They're just all around a good baseball team. Having said that, although I have them finishing second, I don't have them even winning a wild card because they don't deserve to win a wild card. They don't deserve to go to the postseason because every time they go to the postseason, they fold. They're like 0-10 in their last. They're like 0 for 10 their last appearance. It might even be more than that. I don't know if the stat is off the top of my head, but they are so awful in the postseason that even if they are on paper and in all reality the best team in baseball, they don't deserve to go again. They've had their chance. They've blown it. You can say a lot of things about the Tigers from 2006 and then that era from like 2011 to 2013. At least they made it to the World Series a few times. At least they got there. Now, it didn't end up how they would have liked, obviously, but at least they don't get knocked out right away. Whereas the Twins, they just fold. The minute they get into the playoff, it's like, I don't even need to watch this game. I know the Twins are going to lose, so let's just move on. Again, a good baseball, a good regular season team, a horrific postseason team. That's how bad the Twins are when it comes to postseason baseball. Finishing at number 1, though, the Chicago White Sox. Again, there's going to be drama. I think it's going to get toxic. I think there'll be turmoil. I do think Tony La Russa is only there for 1 year. I definitely think that is I'd give that about a 70% chance that he's not back with the team next year. I won't be surprised if it all works out because Tony La Russa is a Hall of Fame manager, and hopefully he can put a group around him and he himself can kind of adapt with the times. The game isn't being played the way it was 10, 15 years ago anymore. Analytics are now a huge and prominent role in the sport of baseball. But you just can't deny this team's talent from the pitching side, the hitting side. That lineup is impressive. I mean, it is a murderer's row from 1 to 9. I think maybe other than the Yankees, it might be the best lineup in the American League. I truly believe that. I think they can just hit. Any one of those guys can beat you, and they have the pitching to back it up. So I think this is the year for the White Sox. It all clicks, even with old man La Russa at the helm. I think the White Sox win the division.
Tom?
Yeah, Luke's picks are my picks. I've got the White Sox winning the division as well.
Wow.
I was very hesitant to do it because of the La Russa factor. I'm not confident in him to gel with the team, but I also think that sort of means that the players might take a us versus him mentality the whole season, regardless of it, and we'll use that to win the division.
All right.
I think what Luke said about the talent, there's way too much talent there for them to be that bad. Like, they're going to have a lot of injuries or something absolutely horrific beyond the La Russa factor. I think will have to go wrong for them to be that bad. And they got a taste of the postseason last year, so they got a little experience in that department, and I think they're going to use that going into this year.
I think also too, and again, it's not like Tony La Russa is an incompetent manager. The reason why I'm so questionable of the decision to bring him in, first of all, I think the entire basis, as Tom, you said, like, it's an old gentleman's like kind of agreement or whatever, handshake. It just doesn't make sense though with where this team is going. They bring in a guy like AJ Hinch. I go, this makes sense. This makes perfect sense. Bring in a guy who hasn't managed in over 10 years or almost 10 years, whatever it's been. It doesn't add up. But again, if Tony La Russa can get around analytics and assemble a coaching staff and a group of analytic geniuses around him to kind of coach him and help him along, they're going to be fine. So
yeah.
Tony
also,
La Russa,
he's
again,
not
Hall
a
of Fame
total
manager.
idiot. Like, he has to know the talent around him.
Exactly.
And to, like, not stir the pot and upset these players for no good reason at all.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, I mean, it's not like he's some clueless little league manager that they just plucked from obscurity. He's Tony La Russa. He's a Hall of Fame manager. He's a multi-time World Series champion. The guy knows how to manage baseball, and he knows the game. I just think there's going to be a lot of drama surrounding him in this new age and new crop of players and how they play the game. That's all. But I don't think it's enough by any means to derail them out of contention.
See, I would counter that.
But it is going to make for good entertainment.
I would counter that La Russa doesn't know how to manage baseball anymore, because baseball has moved on so much.
That's fair.
That he is not going to actually know how to handle the game.
That's fascinated to watch this team this year.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. Before we move on,
there can be some good storylines.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great entertainment. Great entertainment. Even if there is no drama, still the team itself is entertaining because they've got just a hell of a team overall, top to bottom lineup and pitching. Before we move on, I'd just like to make note that as we've alluded to a few times in this episode, Tom and I have been roommates in the past, and many years when baseball season would start, he would always try to talk me off the ledge with the Tigers because I'd be so excited that they're going to win the World Series. And I'd be like, to hell with you, Tom. You don't know anything. You got old man brain. You're probably going to be in a home by next year. And he'd say, all right. And by the second week of May, I was pulling my hair out and ready to jump from our roof. Did pretty good this year. I'm finally getting with the times. And as I said, I'm here to win a free dinner to Chili's. So I'm not playing
around. Trying to reverse psychologize the Tigers.
Exactly.
By proxy, and be like, I'm going to pick them last so that they do better this year.
Bingo.
Rather than
so in my mind, I have the White Sox winning 9 games this year, and the Tigers will win 158. So, but that's up here.
Yeah, undefeated in my head. Undefeated.
Absolutely. All right.
Every game you're a winner if you try hard.
True. True that. Sure.
Nah, that's never works in Major League Baseball.
As Cobra Kai says, never surrender. Move on.
Let's talk division winners, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's take a dive in here. Now, we are just picking the winners of the division. The playoffs, as of now, have not been expanded. So we are just going to take a look at who wins each division as we go in. In the scoring, our American League Central winner does not count in this situation for division winner points. They would count for playoff points as we go through there. But so we will start in the American League East. Tom, who's going to win the AL East?
Yankees. Boo. I hate to make the pick, but I got to. I went with the Rays last year, and it's not like the Rays are going to be bad this year. They're going to be competitive, but I think the Yankees just have too much talent, and the Rays got a little bit worse in my opinion, so I'm going to go with the Yankees.
Luke?
Same thing. Don't like to make the pick, but if we're here to compete and win a dinner at a sit-down restaurant chain, I am here to pick the New York Yankees. They're just too good. The lineup is too good. The pitching is too good. They're just too damn rich. And it's just they're gonna do it. Although I will say this, I think the AL East is going to be a really fun division to watch this year. A 3-team race, in my opinion. I think the Red Sox are still going to be not on the competition. I think you're looking at Toronto, Tampa, and New York. But I think the Yankees come out on top, unfortunately.
For the American League East, I picked closest geographic stadium to my apartment, which means the New York Yankees are my selection. About a 25-minute walk to Yankee Stadium from where I live. Obviously, with any pick like this, there's some concerns about injuries. That there are some guys that have some histories of injury. So if they don't stay healthy, then obviously the Yankees will be in some trouble. With the Rays, and you'll hear me mention the Rays a little bit later in some of our playoff team picks. But my favorite in reading is a quote from the GM when asked if the Rays got better or worse this offseason. He responded, "We got different."
That's called bleeding for you.
Which is always, we're just different. We're just different.
Yep.
Let's finish out the American League and go to the West. I'm going to go to Luke first to pick an American League West champion.
Well, should I be nice to my friend Tom, or should I be an ass?
You don't have to. It's fine.
No, I don't care.
He picked the Tigers to finish last in the division. We don't have to be nice to him.
Well, Alex, I'm not spiteful. I'm a lover, not a fighter. It's going to be the A's. It's going to be Oakland, and I love. And I'm not blowing smoke up Tom's ass here. He knows this. I think I've always they are just a scrappy, fun team to watch. They're easy to root for, just in the sense that they're a small market team. They have one of the crappiest teams in baseball, if not the crappiest.
The crappiest.
The crappiest. I was trying to be that or Tropicana. I'm going to go to Tropicana maybe in April so I can give a full review once I'm back. But yeah, I think it's Oakland. They're just a fun team to watch. And yeah, I know they had a couple subtractions in the lineup. They did the swap with Chris Davis going to Texas. Now Elvis Andrews is coming to Oakland. But I think overall this team just kind of finds a way to win, similarly to the Tampa Bay Rays. And I think another reason, too, why I have the A's winning the West is not only because I think they're a good team, that's obvious, but I think overall that division, in my eyes, is starting to kind of, in the same vein of Cleveland, some of those teams like the Astros, I think they're kind of slowly subtracting just a little bit. I still think the Astros will be a good team. The Angels, who knows? On paper, they should have won 6 World Series by now. They've got arguably the greatest player to ever play the game in their lineup, and they still just can't pitch to save their life. Texas, I think, will be better, but not enough to make a run. I think Seattle is still abysmal. So I think it's Oakland. I don't expect it to be a runaway for Oakland, but I think at the end of the day, they'll come out on top.
I agree with you, Luke. And so to continue the smoke show towards Tom, I am picking the Oakland Athletics because, I agree with everything that you just said. And also, they have now brought the Lansing Lugnuts, my true hometown baseball team, into the organization. And if that doesn't bring about a World Series, I don't know what will.
I called him and I was like, how do we get Alex to root for the baseball team? And I was like, choose his hometown team, minor league team, to be the affiliate this year, and that'll get him on board, guys. Yeah,
it's going to be great. Tom, who's going to win?
Okay, so I'm in a bit of a conundrum here. Last year, I picked the Astros, and the A's won the division, and then actually won a playoff series for the first time in forever. So that is like, do I repeat that? Do I not repeat that? I'm not going to repeat it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the A's repeat as the division winners.
Good for you. Back in your own team. Good on you. Not like us. Not like me.
Yeah. I like all the moves they did this offseason. They were really quiet at the beginning of free agency, and then in 1 week they kind of did a bunch of things. And I'm a fan of all of them. Chris Davis stopped hitting, and they gave him enough chances to get out of that slump, and he just didn't. And they were never going to be able to re-sign Marcus Semien, so they got Elvis Andrews, who is still good defensively and okay with the bat, which is all they really need him to be, because that's really all Marcus Semien was. And so now they preserve the shortstop position for the next couple of years while they wait for one of their top prospects to come up. And they replaced Chris Davis with Mitch Moreland, which is good for them because their lineup was so right-handed heavy anyway. They needed a left-handed bat because all their starting outfielders are right-handed. The only left true everyday player they have in the lineup that's a left-handed bat is Matt Olson. So they needed a little more balance there. And Mitch Moreland has had a really good year last year for the Red Sox, and he can still hit right-handed pitching. So they're going to do what they do every year. They pick guys off the scrap heap, plug them in, and they perform well. And that's what they're going to do again this year. And their pitching is going to be good. They still have a great bullpen, even with Liam Hendricks going to Chicago. They're going to be fine there. And the young starting pitching they had last year is going to be even better this year. So I feel confident in their ability to compete. Maybe not win 97 games like they did the 2 previous years. And actually last year with the shortened season, had you prorated their win total out, it would have been 97 for the 3rd year in a row. I don't think it'll be that high this year, but I like them to get 92 to 94 wins. The division's going to be competitive. The Astros are still going to be really good. The Angels are going to be able to hit, but they still cannot pitch. It's incredible. I don't know how they don't find pitching. It's like a well there, a dry well at that. I don't know what they do. They sign guys, they're bad. The only thing they got going for them is Dylan Bundy. They picked off the scrap heap from Baltimore, and somehow he's good now. But that's it. That's all they got. And their bullpen's nothing much. Seattle's actually going to be scrappy. They tend to give the A's problems for some reason, but Seattle's scrappy. But the Rangers are going to be bad, guys. The Rangers are going to be real bad. So
you think they're going to be? I think they're going to be a little bit better.
No, they're going to be bad, and I think Joey Gallo is going to get traded during the season too to make it even worse. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Do we think with the Angels that they should just scrap the whole Shohei Ohtani trying to be a 2-way player? I think they should give up on it. I think just let him hit.
It's tempting, but he's looked really good in both departments in spring training. So, I think.
Yeah, but Miguel Cabrera is in the best shape of his life every spring training. So I mean, and that's not a knock at
Miggy. Year 10 of bat. They're only on year 2
how many of these spring training buzzworthy headlines do we see each? He'll do 1 or 2 starts. He'll get hurt. I mean, it's just enough. Protect your investment, guys. Scrap the pitching thing, or just make him a full-time pitcher and don't worry about the hitting. But that would seem kind of stupid. But then again, they need pitching, so maybe it isn't that stupid. But
and I think that's why they're not scrapping the idea. They were if he can give us anything in the pitching department.
They should be ashamed of themselves that they cannot get pitching to support that lineup. I mean, my God, that on paper, in my opinion, that's the best lineup probably in the American League West. I mean, I don't know how you can go against it, but their pitching is just so crappy. It's insane to me. It's like they never learn. I don't know.
Outside of the A's being surprisingly competitive every year, my new favorite AL West tradition is watching the Angels suffer and not make the playoffs.
2 questions for you, Tom.
I never want them to win. I don't care that they have Mike Trout. I never want them to win a game ever again. I feel bad for Mike because I appreciate him as a baseball fan. I appreciate him and his greatness, but too bad, so sad. You're the Angels. I don't care about you. I don't like you. Don't wish any happiness for them ever.
Take care. Hope to see you never.
Yes.
Great. Tom, 2 questions for you before we move on. First of all, are you crying yourself to sleep every night knowing that the A's no longer have Robbie Grossman and he is now a Detroit Tiger who is just going to take this team to the top and is our first multi-year contract in almost 6 off seasons?
No, but
Okay, don't lie. No one likes a liar on the show.
I told Luke this on multiple occasions. If you're looking for Robbie Grossman is a perfectly average baseball player. He does nothing exceptional, but everything just well enough to keep him in the lineup every day. And
Alex, what do I say every time I go? He's going to be fine. Robbie Grossman is going to be fine.
He's going to be fine. He's going to hit. He's going to hit about 260. He's going to have a good on base percentage. He's going to take a lot of walks. He'll probably hit roughly 15 home runs, maybe 20, because he's started hitting a few more over the last couple of years. But he'll be just good enough. You're like, okay, great. He's fine, whatever. But then the way he takes pitches, because he takes so many walks and he puts so many good swings on the ball, you think your batting average should be more like 290, 300. And at the end of the year, it's like 260, 265. That's the only frustrating part about him. And his defense in left field is perfectly okay, too. So nothing bad, nothing great there either. So
do you recall, Tom, did he bat leadoff for the A's? Because that's where they're looking. He's gonna bat leadoff for the Tigers, it seems.
Yeah, no, and I can understand that because of his plate discipline and how how many walks he takes. It makes sense. I mean, and I don't know if you guys think the Tigers have a better candidate for that, but I think he'll do the role fine there. And because he's a switch hitter too. So which he does have a little more like straight power from the right side, and he's a little more average, better average wise from the left side. But no, he would bat second a lot, and then somewhere like 6th or 7th, depending on the day in the lineup, because the A's move their lineup all around all the time. So
I think Robbie is going to be totally and perfectly fine for the Tigers, and I think he's going to be a nice fit. So I'm excited. I'm excited to have him on the squad. Tom, last question for you, then we can move on.
Oh, wait, hang on. I have a thought on Robbie Grossman before we move on, because I would love. I'm ecstatic to have a perfectly adequate player in the lineup, as we have not had a lot of those necessarily the last few seasons. Guys that have just been consistent day to day. We know that they're going to be fine. So
that's why I think he's a great signing for you guys.
Yeah,
he's not going to block anybody in a year. From any outfield prospects you might have coming up. He's not going to block. It's not so good he's going to block anyone. And if he has to move to the 4th outfielder role, he can do that too. So
I think when I look at the Robbie Grossman signing, it's like him and Wilson Ramos, that signing as well at catcher. It's like, yep, perfectly fine. I think they're both going to be solid. They're reliable veterans. I think they'll have their struggles, I'm sure, but overall at the end of the season we'll go, yeah, that was fine. Kind of worked out, kind of didn't at times, whatever. It's fine. Tom, my last question for you is this. What do you think happens first with the A's this season? Barry Zito has more strikeouts, or Miguel Tejada hits more home runs?
There is a better chance of Barry Zito coming out of retirement and striking somebody out than Miguel Tejada coming out of retirement to hit a home run.
Okay, good to know. Alex, the floor is yours.
Great. We're going to stay out west and shift over to the National League. Tom, I'm going to let you we're going to turn this into a snake draft, apparently. I'm going to let you go next with your NL West pick.
I'm going to hop on that hype train and take the Padres. Got no good reason for it other than I think it's going to be real close between them and the Dodgers. That's going to be appointment viewing, as they say, when they play. And just because the Dodgers won a World Series and I don't like LA teams, as we've already covered, I'm going to root for the Padres.
Fair enough.
Luke?
I'm going to go the opposite, and I'm going to pick the defending champs, the Dodgers, to win the NL West. I mean, Tom said it right there. It's going to be, I think, a hell of a race. Can't wait to watch. Definitely a 2-team race in that division. But I'm gonna go on the side of experience a bit and pick the Dodgers to win the NL West. But if it ends up being the Padres, I won't be surprised at all. And I might even be talking about the Padres here in a little bit. Ooh, foreshadowing. Stay tuned.
Yeah, similarly, I have the Dodgers as the only Los Angeles team that actually plays in Los Angeles. And not down in Anaheim, unlike the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, as they should be properly known, but they've now dropped that. And similarly, it's not that the Padres aren't good enough to win the division. They're more than good enough to win any other division in baseball, just not the one that has the Dodgers in it.
Yep.
Because the Dodgers are just so good. Luke, we're going to go Central and go to you. Who's your winner in the National League Central?
This one I didn't think was going to be tough at first, but then I did a little digging today and looked at the teams and thought it was a little bit tough. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, Pittsburgh was looking pretty good this year.
Luke, were you reading very old articles?
Pretty good, to quote Larry David. I got the Cardinals winning. I think this is just it's kind of there for them to win. I feel like there's not really a true bona fide contender, I think, in the NL Central. I think they're going to have potentially some pitching woes. I could see the lineup getting cold at times. But, I mean, they bring in Nolan Arenado. They've still got Paul Goldschmidt over at first. I like the outfield with Bader, Yadier Molina, future Hall of Famer. I think they're still going to be able to hit. Pitching is kind of a question mark, no doubt about it. They did lose Colton Wong, which I think that was a great pickup by the Brewers, quite honestly. I think he'll be a great fit for Milwaukee. But, yeah, I think it's the Cardinals for me. The NL Central's interesting because I feel like it was last year I definitely was riding so high on the Central. Now I'm kind of like, I thought last year was going to be more of like a slugfest, and now it's going to be more of a fest of like, can't wait to watch 4 out of these 5 teams win anywhere from like 76 to 83 games. And that's kind of where I feel like it's going to be. I picked the Reds last year. That didn't work out for me. I think they've gotten I need to see that to believe them. I'm not as high on the Reds as I was last year. I mentioned the Cubs earlier. I think they're either going to be that team who somehow finds a way to win 86, 87 games, or I could see them winning like 73, 74. So I'll take the Cardinals. I like the Nolan move. I think obviously that was their, no doubt about it, biggest move of the offseason. So I'll take the Cardinals.
I have the Cardinals for basically all of the reasons that you just listed. And yeah, I echo your sentiments on the National League Central. Whereas like the American League East is kind of wow, these 3 teams are really great. They're going to really duke it out. The NL Central sort of feels like these 3 teams are kind of meh, and one of them is going to fluke their way into a division win. And I think that the Cardinals are slightly better positioned to make that happen. Tom?
Yeah, I can't wait for one of these teams to, like you said, fluke their way into a division win by going like 83 and 81 and then winning a playoff series and getting to the NLCS. And it'll be super annoying because you're going to be like, why is this team even in the playoffs to begin with? I think of, like Luke said, he thought it was going to be easy to pick. For me, this is the hardest one because I just think 4 of these, you could pick any 4 of these teams realistically, and of the 5, and I'd be like, okay, just pick them out of a hat, really. I might have said this last year. Just pick a name out of a hat and pick a winner. I just happened to pick the Cubs out of the hat last year, and it worked, even though they weren't very good. And so this year, I'm going to pick the Brewers out of the hat and see if it works out. So we're going to write that. I really kind of wanted to go with the Cardinals, and then I just said, you know what? I'm going with the Brewers. But we'll see how it works. I don't think Christian Yelich can be any worse than he was last year, by the way. He was so bad. And the Brewers are going to be able to pitch. So, and they got Colton Wong, their defense, they got Lorenzo Cain back from the opt-out, even though he's aging, but like defense-wise, still going to be fine. So I think the Brewers can be sneaky good. And the Reds, I think the Reds have a real shot. I think they kind of fell victim to like the hype train last year. Like everybody was on the Reds. Yep. And I just then they did not hit at all. And everyone thought that was going to be the strength of the team. And they kind of pitched okay. And then nobody hit. And I think this year, those guys that didn't hit are going to, not regress like they did last year, are going to hit. And that young pitching is still there. And they have, Sonny Gray and Castillo. So, like, I think the Reds could have a real shot here, especially if the Cubs regress like we think they are. And maybe, the Cardinals and Brewers aren't as good as we might think they could be. So, the Reds have a real shot here. But I'm going to take the Brewers.
And again, it's not that I think, with the exception of the Pirates, all 4 of these teams I think will be perfectly fine to even good teams. Honestly, I think all 4 teams will be good. But there's just not a clear runaway for this division with me. Again, I like the moves the Cardinals made. I actually I know his numbers may not be great. I thought the Cubs going out and get Jock Peterson. I thought actually that was kind of a sneaky good move. I think that might work out for them.
He's looked great in spring training too.
Yeah. So I think that'll work out. Again, I like what the Brew Crew have done, and I think you brought up a good point too, Tom. Because didn't Eugenio Suarez just absolutely crap the bed?
Yeah, nobody on the Reds hit.
Nobody on that team. Everybody was way below.
I don't think Castellanos did much last year.
No, that's why I think they're gonna, go towards the mean a little bit there and be much better than. And now nobody's talking about them because of how underperforming they were last year. So they have a chance to be under the radar good.
Sure. Fair enough.
To round this out, we're going to head out east, and as the resident New Yorker, I will go first and pick the New York Mets. And my note here is, am I really picking the Mets? I attempted to talk myself out of this all night long, and
I'll do most it for you. They're the Mets.
Yeah, even now, I don't trust the Mets to do this, but I think all the pieces are there. But that's sort of the MO of the Mets. So we'll see. I'm picking the Mets. Yeah. We'll see what happens as we go.
Like I said, it looks great on paper.
Tom, who do you have?
Not the Mets.
I know
this may shock you, but not the Mets after what I've just said. Because the Mets are going to Mets, and they're going to Mets it up.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was. I was trying to think about that.
I'm going to take the Braves. The Braves, to me, are still the best team in that division. They've got everything going for them. They have the lineup. They have the good young pitching. The bullpen is a little, at this point, a little shaky, but we'll see how, what they can do to improve it, because I think they'll be in a position to make a trade mid-year if they want to. So I like the Braves again.
I agree. Tom said it. First of all, yes, Mets going to Mets it up. So I 100% am on that train. But yeah, it's the Braves. I got to go to that Braves Red Sox spring training game last weekend. And in the 5 innings of watching the starters play, I am confident in my pick that they will win the division. But no, they can hit, man. Holy hell can this team hit. And actually, the game I went to, Acuna didn't play, neither did Ozzie Albies. So I was watching this lineup, and I was like, damn, this team can hit. And I kept having to tell myself, oh, wait a minute. 2 of their best hitters aren't even playing right now. Freddie Freeman is definitely the anchor of the team. Marcell Ozuna, I love that guy. I think he can just demolish the ball. And I one time saw him hit a home run at a Cardinals game. I don't think I've ever seen a ball leave a stadium as quickly as it did when he hit it. It was mesmerizing, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, I'll take the Braves. I still think they are the best team in this division by far. Nationals, I think, will be competitive. Phillies, I think, will be competitive. I do think the Mets will be good, but I think they will find a way to Mets it up. So, yeah, I'll take kind of the experience and go with the Braves.
Let's round out our playoff picks with some wild card selections. Tom, I'm going to come to you first for your American League wild card teams. So give me both of them.
I'm going to take the Astros because I think they're still a really good baseball team, much to my chagrin, obviously. I just think they're going to be too good again. I think if the A's manage to win the division, it'll probably only be by a game or 2 at most, 2 at 1 at most, whatever, you know what I mean? Barely. And I think that the rest of the division, the A's and the Astros are going to kind of beat up on them. So those 2 teams will be clear of the pack. And I've got the Astros for 1, and I'm going to take the Blue Jays in the East. So, I didn't pick the Rays or the Dodgers to win the division this year, and I picked both of those teams to win their divisions and go to the World Series last year. So they basically won me the bet. And here I am abandoning them both, but I'm going to take the Blue Jays, and I'm going to root for the Blue Jays because they're fun and the opposite of whatever the Yankees are. So, yeah.
I am going to take they got different Tampa Bay Rays. And I'm going to take the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim as my 2 American League wildcard teams. No other reason. Again, another team that looks great on paper. We've seen them go real bad real quick with the Angels. I think that this is the year. This is the year that the Angels get it together enough to make it in as a wild card, coming down to if it really comes down to if Ohtani can stay healthy. Yeah. That's kind of, to me, the linchpin of that team, and if they're going to have the season that they should have. Luke?
I think Alex thinking that the Angels pitching holdup just is going to hold up clearly shows us that he is suffering from a very rare case of what I like to call doofus brain. But, that's okay. That can be treated by just watching a game or 2.
I picked the Mets to win the division. I don't think we can.
Oh, you have a severe case
really
of doofus brain. Just kidding. Alex has many, many college degrees. So smart.
He could look like a genius at the end of the year or a fool. We shall see.
He might be like Warren Buffett rich at the end of the year, or he might be in a psychiatric ward with some of these picks he's making. But that's okay. As they said, and It's Always Sunny. Wild card. Here we go. Okay, I am going to actually pick. Last year we had 3 teams from the AL Central get represented in the postseason. Now, obviously, it was expanded playoffs, so that wasn't that unlikely to happen. However, I do think it will happen again this year, but not with the AL Central, in the AL East. I think my wild card picks are the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays. So I have three teams from the AL East making it in. I love the Blue Jays lineup. I think they are to me, the Blue Jays are the American League equivalent to the San Diego Padres. I think Absolutely. They are such a fun, young team to watch. We've been hearing about so many of these guys for years and years. Now we're going to get to see them. I think they've got a pretty solid, sneaky good pitching staff that's going to get the job done. So I like the Blue Jays a lot in that department. And I think the Rays are still going to be a competitive team, albeit a different team, to quote their general manager. But I still think they're going to be a solid team. And in my opinion, teams like the Twins and Cleveland are going to just kind of be whatever. I mean, I think, again, Minnesota will be a good team, but I think definitely that the Blue Jays and the Rays will be better than the Twins. And then in the AL West side, I don't think the Angels will hold up with their pitching. And I do think, for whatever reason, last week on the show, Alex planted in my brain that the Astros are having a horrible spring training. So for now in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe they won't be that good because they've only won like 4 games this spring training or whatever it is at this point. So yeah, I'll take with teams like Cleveland and Minnesota and Los Angeles and Houston kind of just being middle of the road to deteriorating a bit. I'll take the Rays and the Blue Jays winning the wild cards. AL East will be heavily represented in this year's postseason.
And heading over to the National League, my 2 wildcard teams there are the Padres and the Braves. The Braves are, in fact, my wildcard team so that I don't feel sick when, and this is what I wrote down, the Mets are the Mets. And I at least get some playoff points for the Braves making the playoffs. So those are my 2 National League picks. Luke, I'm gonna come back to you for your National League wildcard.
So we are in unison on one of those picks. I have the Padres and the Mets winning wild cards this year. Although I do think the Mets will find a way to Mets it up. I don't think they'll Mets it up to the point where they can't get into the postseason. It might be an early exit, but I do think that they will be a better team overall if they can just avoid tripping over themselves. I think they definitely have the talent on offense, defense, and with the pitching, all that good stuff to make a run at it. And Padres, man, if I would have told myself 2 years ago that this team was going to be probably the most exciting team in baseball to watch, I think I would have checked myself into that psychiatric ward with Alex, because I used to dog on this team all the time for being so piss dry, boring. It was like honestly watching paint dry, this team at times, I thought back in the, only 2 or 3 years ago. But they sure have turned it around. Such an exciting team on both the pitching side, but that lineup. What a lineup with those guys. And there you got Tatis Jr., Manny Machado. I like the Will Myers, Hosmer. Sorry. I was getting, for whatever reason, I always get Moustakas and Hosmer mixed up, probably because they played together for Kansas City for many years. But great team. I think they're going to be real solid. And man, they can hit. Boy, they can hit. And it is fun to watch.
Tom, close us out.
Yep. I'm going to take the Dodgers because the Dodgers, they're good. What can you say? They're going to win a lot of games. And I'm going to take the Nationals because I can't pick the Mets after everything I've said about them. So I got to pick another competitive team in the East because I don't think it will be a team from the Central because all those teams are going to be right around each other. And I think they're just going to be barely above 500, right around 500 pretty much. And I think one of the teams in the East will be able to get more to like late 80s in wins. So I'll take the Nationals.
All right. If I have edited this episode correctly, if you're watching the video version of the show, there will be a graphic that overlays the screen right now that shows you all of our picks. If you are listening to the audio version of our show, you can check the show notes and the description of the show, which will have all of our picks in it for you to see who we just picked to make the playoffs, win their divisions. We're going to take a quick ad break here, pay some bills, as they say, and then we are going to come back and talk about season over-under win totals, as well as predict the World Series matchup and the World Series winner. We are back on the Michigan and Trumbull podcast with Luke and resident A's fan Tom. We've been going through our season picks for the year. As we mentioned going into break, we will put these in the show notes, graphics on the screen here, but we will also have them on all of our social channels as well. So if you follow us on Instagram, if you follow us on Twitter, all those links also in the show notes. If you catch us on Facebook, we'll be updating the picks and the graphics for you there so you can follow along. Also, make sure you comment, tell us who you picked in all of these spots, and we'll have some fun with you there as well. See if you can beat the idiots. I don't know if there's like a great trophy if you beat these three idiots in picking, especially the guy who picks the Mets to win.
Beat the idiots. Sounds like a fun game to me. And like Alex said,
maybe
Facebook,
they can join us for dinner.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Come and join us for dinner.
As Alex said, though, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, check out all of our picks on OnlyFans. Not our picks of like the rankings, just the pictures we're posting on there. But that's for premium content.
All Luke's shoulders.
Huh?
It's all Luke's shoulders.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just gotta do some shrugs in the gym. When I do that, I look like a beluga whale, but that's all right. That's all right.
All right, we are going to head over to doing season win total over unders. All of these over unders were found on Fox Bet, which you can use in the great state of Michigan if you are listening there and you are inclined to wager. We make no guarantees that we have any inside knowledge about any of this, and you may want to fade our picks. If you see that might be the best betting strategy I could recommend to you is to fade us and go. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go rapid fire here in order. I'm going to go first, then Luke will go, then Tom will go. As we go, I will give the team the win total and then we will decide if we think they will win more games than that, in which case we will say over. Or less games than that, in which case we will say under. And if there's anything that seems particularly controversial, we then may offer an explanation, but otherwise, here we go. We start with the Atlanta Braves, 91.5 games. I have them under. Okay. Luke.
I am taking the over.
I will also take the over.
Probably the right bet. I think it'll be close.
Yeah, they're just a good team, man.
The Diamondbacks at 74.5 wins. I have the under. Luke.
Oh God, no! I'm going back on my pick, I think, but I'm gonna take the. I'm gonna take the under. I'm switching on my sheet. It says over, but I'm switching it to under right now. And that's what I said. It matters what you verbalize, not what you write down.
That's right. Verbal counts. Verbal's binding. Tom.
I'm also going to take the under. Not confidently. Of course, about 20 to 25 of these are not confidently. So
I think they're definitely the third place team in the NL West for what it's worth. So kudos to you Diamondbacks fans.
Yeah, and that's makes me think I should take the over, but oh well, here we are.
But the Dodgers and Padres are so good. All
right. The Baltimore Orioles at 64.5 games. I have the under, and I might take the way under.
I won't go way under, but I'll take the under.
Last year they were surprisingly competitive when we thought they were going to be like one of the worst teams we've ever seen. So I'm tempted to take the over here, but I'll take the under.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Trey Mancini miss all of last year?
Yeah, and he is back. Yeah.
And he's a hell of a player.
64.5 is a real low number, but they're still the worst team in that division. And I'm going to take the under. I can't do it.
I mean, the question is, do you think they're a 100-loss baseball team? And
yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll take the under.
The Boston Red Sox at 81.5 games. I will take the under.
I will also take the under.
Yeah. Last year, I stupidly picked them to win a wild card, and I don't know why I did that. And now I'm bitter against them, so I'm taking the under here.
The Chicago Cubs at 78.5 games. I have the barely over.
I'm following suit with Alex. I will also take the barely over. Are we doing half points if we say the word barely?
No, but it will make me feel better when I'm wrong.
The Cubs are staring down the barrel of an 82-win season.
I'm also, barely over. Barely over. I think more like not quite 500, but 80, 80 wins, something like that.
It's sort of the trend in that entire division is that I think that they're all going to land right there. The Reds at 81.5. I have the under.
Also taking the under.
I'm going to take the over here. I hyped him up earlier. I'm going to take the over here.
Boy, what a drastic change like 9 months can make. On our last year's prediction episode, I was like, Reds, baby, Reds. And this year I'm kind of like, whatever.
Reds. The Cleveland Indians at 81.5 games. I have the over here.
I'll also take the over.
Yeah. How is the over under for Cleveland and the Red Sox the same? Cleveland is clearly a better baseball team in a worse division. Like, they're going to win more than 81.5 games.
Yeah.
Over. That's the fascinating thing to me about like this kind of thing is like these lines are obviously set by very smart bookkeepers.
Yeah.
And then moved by the markets, and a team like the Red Sox has such a rabid fan base that often their number can end up way higher than it really should be. The Rockies, 64.5 games. I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the under. I think this team is going to be really bad.
I'm also going to take the under. They could be the worst team in baseball this year. They have that potential. So we might see Trevor Story traded at some point. Who knows? So
there's a Eden Desmond has decided to opt out the last 2 years. It's nothing to do with COVID or health protocols. He just knows this team sucks, which is a shame because we hear Coors Field is like one of the greatest stadiums in all of baseball. So
right.
'Tis a pity, but I think the Rockies are going to be real bad this year.
The Chicago White Sox at 90.5 wins. I have them on the under.
I'm taking the over.
I'm also taking the over, but barely.
We are now to your Detroit Tigers at 67.5 wins. I am going to take the over on 67.5. I think it will be somewhere around 71.
Well, I believe I said they're going to win 158 games a little earlier in the episode. So by that reasoning alone, I have to take the over. But on a much more serious note, I'm sticking by it. I'm definitely taking the over. I think they're going to fall in that ballpark, no pun intended, of 73, 74 wins this year. Let's go Tigers.
Tom?
I wrote under on my sheet, but that number is real low. 67 is real low. And so I'm going to take the over. I see more like 70-ish wins.
Yep. Good that you said that. Alex was about 2 seconds away from kicking you out of the Zoom meeting.
Moving you right out.
Yep.
The Astros at 87.5 wins. I have the under.
I'm also taking the under.
I'm going to take the over. I think they get to about, like I said, they're going to be with the A's. And if I have the A's winning about 92 to 94, I think the Astros will be around 90 to 92. And I got them winning the wild card, so they got to win some games. So
that's true. They do have to, in order to win the wild card,
doubling up on
some games.
True.
The Royals at 73.5. I have the under. I was hesitating to switch to the over, but I am going to stick with the under.
Yeah, this is another one that I feel like that's a great number to have them at right now. Mm-hmm. And I think we got to be a little bit bold with these picks, so I'm going to go over. I just really like that lineup that the Royals have assembled. It's the pitching I'm worried about, but I know that lineup's going to be able to hit.
Fair. I'm going to take the barely under here.
Yeah, I think that's a particularly good number that they have set. That I think that it will be. They will.
Yeah, they're going to be in
the or 74.
Yeah, they're going to be in the low 70s. Yeah.
The Los Angeles Angels at 84.5. I have them on the over.
This team can't pitch. Under.
Yeah, I wrote under, and I'm not going to double back on that. I'm going to say under. I think right around 500 for them.
The staying in Los Angeles, the Dodgers 102.5. I have the under, but only because that number is so big. It is so hard to just be like, yeah, they're definitely going to win 103 games this year.
Yeah, it's like going through the list. You see like nothing in triple digits, and then you get the Dodgers, and that number just pops off the piece of paper or the screen at you. So,
yep, taking the under as well for everything you just said, Alex. Not that it's an absurd number. I could see them winning 103 games, but it's just like, imagining that in my mind, a team winning 103 games, think, oh yeah, that's going to happen. I can't pull myself to do that. So for that reason, I'm going to take the under. High 90s, but not 103.
To be sitting here in March and be like, that's a lock. 103 wins.
I didn't pick them to win the division, so I'm going to take the under here. I think they're going to be kind of on coast mode in the season. You know how like some, like the Lakers or good basketball teams kind of coast through the regular season, and then they gear it up towards the end of the year for the playoffs. I think that's what the Dodgers are going to be like this year, because with how fiery the Padres are, and the Dodgers having just won the World Series, not that they don't want to defend that title, because of course they do, but I think they'll be kind of on coast mode in the regular season. So I'll take the slightly under here. They're going to be in the mid to high 90s though. So,
yep.
The Marlins 71.5. I have the under here.
Yeah, the Marlins are actually another team too last year that was kind of surprisingly hot. But that 60-game format, I think, was made for a team like the Marlins to be surprisingly hot. I don't think they have the durability to sustain 162. So I'm going to go under, and I'm probably going to go to a Marlins game this year because they're like an hour and 40 minutes away from me in Florida. So I look forward to visiting the stadium, but they're going to be under.
Yeah, this is great because I wrote under, and then I crossed it off and wrote under or over, and now I'm going to double back on that and go back to my original pick and go under, because I was like, I originally wrote under, and I was like, because they're bad, and then I wrote over because wait, they were surprisingly competitive last year, so I'm going to go over. But now I'm talking myself into the under because the rest of the division is just better, in my opinion.
Yep.
So not every team, all 5 teams can win 80 games. So I'm going to take the under here.
The Milwaukee Brewers at 82.5 wins. I have the under.
I'll take the over.
Yeah, I got them winning the division, so I'm going to double down and take the over.
The Minnesota Twins, 88.5 wins. I have the over. I think they'll win 90 plus as they take the division.
As they like to.
Yeah, I'll take the over too. They'll probably get about 90, 91 wins and get a first round exit in the playoffs.
I'm going to take the under here. Say they win 87.
Ooh. Everybody's favorite team in New York, the Mets, 91.5 wins. I am taking the over. God help me.
Hey, double down on that bet, because if it hits, it's cash.
Take all those points.
Yeah, I'll take the under. I'll take the under.
I'm taking the under. I like them to be more in the mid 80s. So.
And then everybody's second tier team in New York, the Yankees, 96.5 wins. I have the over here as well. Good summer for baseball in New York.
Well, I have 3 teams making it to the postseason from the AL East, so I can't have a team necessarily run away with it, although I do have the Yankees winning the division. But I'll take the under. I think not what was it, 96.5?
96.5.
They're going to be right around there. I'm thinking it might be like 94, 95. Hell, it could be 95, but we're talking a game or two here, I think. But I'll take the under.
I will begrudgingly take the over here. So I like them for about 98, 99 wins, possibly reaching 100, unfortunately.
The Oakland Athletics, 86.5 wins. I have the over because I think adding the Lugnuts was worth at least 65 wins. So they're gonna smash that over. Luke?
I'll take the over as well. Tom brought up a point earlier that Chris Davis was kind of becoming obsolete for the A's, so I think getting rid of him, maybe that helps.
Yeah.
Man, is there a rule in baseball that if your name is Chris Davis, you at one point in time get to be the talk of the town, but eventually in the not too distant future, you just absolutely fall on your ass? Must be some sort of clause in the game of baseball.
Yeah. It's one of the unwritten rules, like not swinging on 3-0.
Yep, or like bunting when there's a perfect game on the line. Yeah, I'll take the over. I like the A's a lot. Again, I don't think they'll run away with the division, but run enough away to the point where they'll get close to 90 wins.
Yeah, I'm taking the over here. If the A's don't win titles, but what they do is constantly beat preseason predictions for them. And projections. So they're going to win more than 86.5 games. One more quick tidbit about the A's since we're here. I forgot to mention that another reason I think they're going to be good this year is that Matt Chapman is back, and he basically missed all of last year, and they were still able to win the division. So,
yep. Fair enough.
The Philadelphia Phillies at 81.5 games. I am taking the under because nothing delights me more than tuning into Philly sports talk radio when their teams are doing poorly.
Yeah, I'll take the over for them. I think it's probably a competition between the Phillies and the Nats for who's competing for third in the division, but I definitely think the Phillies can probably get closer to that 83, 84 mark. They got talent. They're not quite like the Angels with pitching. They're a little bit better off there, but for whatever reason, this team isn't popping like they probably should be. But I'll take the Phillies with the over.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I like them to be just barely over 500.
The Pittsburgh Pirates at 58.5 wins.
This number jumps off the screen in the opposite way the Dodgers number did.
Yeah, it does. And I wrote under because I think that they're going to be terrible, but it's a similar sensation of like, yeah, they'll lose 103. Like, lock it in March. I'm going to stick with the under. I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, that number is real low, man.
Here's maybe my first bold claim of the year. I think the Pirates are going to be way under that, and I think the Pirates will give the 2019 Tigers a run for their money in terms of where they will finish record-wise. I think the Tigers won 47 or 48 games that year. I think the Pirates will get drastically close to finishing with the same record as the 2019 Tigers. I think the Pirates are going to be atrocious this year, which is also a shame because PNC, arguably, out of all the stadiums I've been to, the best. A beautiful ballpark, but a horrendous baseball team right now.
Like, the four other teams in that division aren't great, but they're all just so much better than the Pirates.
Yeah, they're gonna beat up on the Pirates.
It's like so many losses right there. I'm going to take the under. I think they're headed for like low 50s.
Yep. I'm going to disappear for 10 seconds to turn some lights on, so bear with me. Alex, keep going.
We are bearing with. We are going to the Padres with 93.5 wins. I'm taking the over on that. I think it'll be 95, 96, 97 in there. Luke, Padres?
I took the under, but I just like this team a lot, man. I'm going to go over. I wrote down under. I wrote down under. I'm going to take the over.
I wrote down over, and I'm taking the over. I picked them to win the division. I'm doubling down with my bet once again, taking the over.
The Mariners, 73.5 wins. I have the under.
Under as well.
I'm taking the over here. The Mariners are pesky. The Mariners are going to be pesky, so I'm going to take slightly over there.
The San Francisco Giants at 76.5 wins. I wrote down over. I think I just threw a dart and made a choice.
Yep, sure did. I did the same thing.
And yeah, I'm gonna stick with it, but I don't have any real reason to back it up.
I'll take the under. Is Evan Longoria still with this team? You see, honestly, I feel like I haven't heard that guy's name in a long time. But regardless if he is or isn't with the team, I don't really care. I'll take the under.
Yeah. This is another team that was a little more competitive last year than people thought they were going into the season, which is the only reason I wrote over, which probably means they'll suck, but over it is.
I'll be right there with you. Right there with you, Tom. The St. Louis Cardinals, 85.5 wins. I have the over there, but I think it'll be barely. I think that 85.5 is a pretty good number for that team. So yeah, I'll take the over.
I'll take the over as well. I picked them to win the Central, so I think they'll probably get 86, 87.
I'm going to hedge my bet because I didn't pick them to win the division, but I'm going to hedge the bet here and say over.
That's a nice hedge, Tom. That's nicely done. The Tampa Bay Rays, 84.5 wins. I have the over for the Rays. Who got different?
I will also take the over for the different Rays as well.
I will also take the over. They're just too solid to be just 500, I think. They're going to be a few more games. Obviously, 84 is a few more games over 500, but I like them to be in the mid to high 80s.
Solidly over 500.
Yeah.
The Texas Rangers, 67.5 wins. I've got the way over here, guys. I think they're going to be. No, I'm just kidding. I have the way under. I think the Rangers will be under 67.5 wins.
This is just kind of as you guys said, you threw a dart, kind of coin toss, whatever. I'll take the over. They might be. They could be abysmal. They could maybe win 68, 69 games. And I'd be like, yeah, makes sense. I'll take the over. Sure, why not?
I'm going to take the under here. Like I said earlier, the Rangers are going to be bad. One Chris Davis tidbit, though, the most home runs he has in a stadium in his career is in Texas. Now, it's technically not the new park. It's the old park, but he hits them at the new park, too. So he loves hitting in Texas. So he'll be okay. Right. But they're going to be bad. So under.
The Blue Jays, 87.5 wins. I have the under on that.
I will take the over.
I picked him as a wild card. Do I want to hedge my bet and say over or say under here? I did write under on the sheet. I'm going to take the over here. I like him for about 90, I think.
And finally, to round this out, the Washington Nationals, 83.5 wins. I have the under for the Nationals.
I will also take the under.
Yeah, now I'm going to hedge my bet again. I have them as a wild card team, but I'm going to hedge and take the under here.
Nicely done. Nicely done. All right. As we said, all of those picks will go up on our social media sites. You'll be able to get to them from the show notes and check out how we're doing. Now, the nice thing about an over pick is that that can end as soon as the over is accomplished. You got to sweat the under all the way through, unless, of course, they just go over, and then you're golden as well. Yep. There, you at least have conclusions. Let's head into our World Series matchup selections. Just give me the matchup first. Luke, go first.
This year's World Series matchup will be the New York Yankees versus the San Diego Padres.
Okay. Tom?
I'm going to pick the matchup I least want to see out of any single matchup I could possibly want to see in baseball this year and pick the Dodgers and the Yankees.
Tom, we are on the same World Series with a Yankees versus Dodgers World Series. As much as a Dodgers-Angels World Series would be fun and a Subway Series Mets-Yankees would be fun, the Major League Baseball will be excited to have a Dodgers-Yankees World Series.
They would not want anything more than that, I think. It's got to be their dream matchup.
Yeah, I think they're just drooling at the possibility.
Yeah.
Luke, Yankees, Padres, who's the winner?
This is where it gets boring. It's going to be the Yankees. My reasoning for taking the Padres over the Dodgers, obviously, I think you guys said it. I got the, you said it perfectly. MLB wants nothing more for a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. That's like Rob Manfred's wet dream, I'm pretty sure. But I think that one of those teams will lose in the championship series. I don't have a reason for backing that up. I just feel like one of those teams will get upset in either the ALCS or the NLCS. And I'm going to go this year that it's the Dodgers. Remember prior to winning a 60-game season last year, the Dodgers had issues in the playoffs. And when they would get to the World Series, they were kind of like, not quite like the Twins because they were never an early exit, but they can never finish the drill, so to speak. So I just think for whatever reason the Dodgers won't repeat this year. They're going to be a hell of a team. I think they will win the NL West, but I think they will lose in the NLCS or maybe even sometime prior to that, depending on when they would play and who they'd match up against. So I'll go Padres, Yankees, and I actually have the Yankees winning the World Series in 6 games, winning 4-2.
Tom, who's your Yankees-Dodgers winner?
I'm going to take the Dodgers. I'm a little hesitant because, repeating is obviously very difficult. But like I alluded to earlier, I think the Dodgers are going to kind of coast through the regular season and turn it on towards the end of the year and they're going to want to prove that their shortened season title was not a fluke, and they're they'll still be hungry to win, I think. And they have all the pieces you could possibly want to accomplish the task. So I will take the Dodgers in a repeat because I can't.
I am
the Yankees.
Joining you on the Dodgers to repeat. The Yankees will not win number 28 this year. The Dodgers will
hopefully
in fact
ever
repeat as champions. And gentlemen, I think we've got some pretty interesting storylines to follow throughout this entire season. So thank you both for joining us for this pick show.
I think our picks throughout are intriguing, but our overall World Series matchups and winners are, I don't want to say safe, but they're safe. But also at the same time, I think none of us can go wrong with who we've picked to make it to the World Series or even win the World Series. Notice I didn't even talk about why I thought the Yankees would win the World Series because I don't even think it needs an explanation. Yeah. I was more excited to announce why I thought the Padres, they're not the Dodgers, but it is what it is. I think it's going to be a pretty mundane, marquee matchup with either Dodgers, Yankees winning. Hopefully the Padres can sneak in. I think they're a scrappy team. But I think the overall winner is going to be pretty vanilla, so to speak.
I hope I'm
so
wrong.
Too.
It's just
I
have a hard time picking something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we've got like one more year. Like this is the final year of this kind of like vanilla Yankees Dodgers kind of World Series, because then I think like teams like the Padres will have fully arrived, and we have some other up and coming mid-market teams. Obviously, Oakland is always in that mix. I think that St. Louis is sort of on the verge of relevancy again, perhaps. And I think that, there's a lot of those mid-market teams are starting to rise. I think that some aspects of the new labor agreement will probably give a little bit more ability to those mid-market teams to compete in a way that becomes more interesting. So hopefully we're on the verge of, maybe the Yankees will never win number 28. That'd be great.
I would kill for a Padres Blue Jays World Series or a Padres Tampa Bay World Series. I just don't think we're quite there yet. Not that I don't think any of those teams will be good. I think a lot of those teams will be very, very good. But you still got the big dogs, so to speak, sniffing around with the Dodgers and the Yankees. And they're not going away anytime soon. They'll always have money. They'll always be a massive market. So
that's the worst part about it.
We just got to hope one of these kind of up-and-coming teams dethrones them, so to speak. So we need a team like the A's or the Rays or the Blue Jays or the White Sox to dethrone the Yankees, and we need a team like the Braves or the Cardinals that take down the Dodgers or the Padres. Yeah. So it's going to be up to those teams. But hopefully, I mean, for the sake of the bet, hopefully we're right. But as a fan of baseball, I hope I'm wrong. and it's not Dodgers Yankees. I know that's what MLB wants. That's not what I want.
And I know it would be great for viewership, and that's why MLB wants it, and get a lot of casual viewers to watch the game of baseball. But for actual baseball fans, I think this is the matchup we want the least.
Yep.
Yep. I agree.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be tracking it all season, and we will be here weekly with shows talking specifically about the Tigers as we navigate this season as they dive into the American League Central. Tom, we will definitely have you back throughout the year as well to not only check in on these picks, but to talk to a fan of a team that is competing for a division championship so we can kind of live vicariously through you until the Tigers finally arrive at the end of this rebuild tunnel. Tom, Luke, have a great week, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.